Hello dear fans, friends and subscribers. Welcome to the last cricket show as far as the World Cup 2015 is concerned, and one was waiting for this final match to happen, and as we all know, there could not have been a better script to the World Cup 2015, as it was the host Australia taking on the co-host New Zealand in the World Cup ICC Cricket World Cup 2015 finals at on a record attendance here at the MCG cricket ground. And well, the script was absolutely well written when Australian captain Michael Clarke picked up his first World Cup. And what a moment for getting his first World Cup for Michael Clarke of Australia. As you know, Michael Clarke was playing the last one-day match of his international career, and this was the last match in this format of the game. And what a swan song for Michael Clarke as he left the one-day international arena with glory as Australia lifted their fifth World Cup, and Michael Clarke getting his first World Cup. And what a way to go! Just before he was leaving the scene, he announced the previous day that this was his last match in his international career. And what a way to leave the scene for Michael Clarke. The Australian players definitely made them proud. Not only that, Michael Clarke himself, in his last innings, seen in a one-day international in Australia, made a very fluent 74 runs with some very good strokes that he's normally used to play. It was a sight to watch as Australia celebrated, and New Zealand, their dream of lifting their first World Cup definitely evaporated because without a fight. Because if you look at the score line there, Australia went on to win the match by 7 wickets in the 34th over, and I thought the final could have been scripted much better as far as the score line was concerned, because the New Zealanders could only put on 183 on the board with some wonderful bowling from the Australian bowlers. And Australian bowlers, as you know, they probably had learned their lessons when they actually bowled to them in Eden Park in Auckland, where they lost. But here they decided that they are going to really hurl some full-length deliveries, and full-length deliveries were the ones which netted the wickets for Australia, with Mitchell Starc bowling his heart out in this World Cup 2015, has already announced himself on the international stage in a big way, and he was the one who was the wicket taker with 22 wickets, was named man of the series. James Faulkner with his very economical bowling, and he was the one who actually New Zealand was struggling, and later on they recovered through the Grant Elliott and Kane Williamson partnership, which added 113 runs. But James Faulkner was the man who did the trick for Australia on the batting power play, when with his slower deliveries, which he has done a lot with his slower deliveries in the World Cup, as you know, he claimed very good wickets. In fact, he claimed the wicket of Ross Taylor, who was well settled. Then he had Luke Ronchi's wicket and Corey Anderson's wicket, and that was the one which left New Zealand only with a total of 183 on the board, and Australia wiped it off in 34 overs with Stephen Smith, who would be definitely the successor to Michael Clarke for Australia, had the he would have really cherished that proud moment when he hit a boundary to take the Australians to victory and their fifth World Cup in their World Cup history. And New Zealand had to still wait for the World Cup, but I would say that New Zealand would be very happy that they did all the hard work under Brendan McCullum and came to their first World Cup in their history. But definitely, I would say that it was not a first World Cup final where probably the pressure was telling on New Zealanders, and New Zealanders were playing in Australia for the first time. As you know, all the victories that they had under their belt in this World Cup was done in New Zealand, and there were a bit of a doubt whether what New Zealand will do in Australia. And Australia, basically, with their huge crowd support, even though there were a lot of Kiwi fans who were milling around the MCG, as I said, was a record crowd. More than 90,000 watched this particular game, and I was told it was a record attendance, and you could hear the roar in the crowd. What a match! But as said, Australia definitely ruling the roost there in this World Cup. Now, looking at the way the things panned out here at the MCG in the finals of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015, it was New Zealand Brendan McCullum who won the toss here on a crowd-roaring Melbourne cricket ground with Martin Guptill and Brendan McCullum opening the innings. And Brendan McCullum was facing Mitchell Starc, and let me talk about the first three balls. Mitchell Starc bowled a delivery which actually went past the off stump of Brendan McCullum. The second ball, Brendan McCullum, as you know, what a dasher he is, and he has such bravado as what he did. He tried to move his leg. The next delivery that Mitchell Starc bowled, he tried to cream him through the offside, and he also had taken a step forward to do that. And you know, normally players who have been tested outside the off stump, and especially considering that was a second delivery, Brendan McCullum went after Starc, couldn't really connect. The ball went to the wicketkeeper, and after that, once again it was Mitchell Starc having the wood over McCullum as he beat him. And then with the fifth delivery of the first over, Mitchell Starc, who was really swinging the ball at that stage, picked up the wicket. Brendan McCullum, as you know, he knows only one way to play, and that is to hit the bowler out of the park. And that's what he precisely tried to do. He tried to play a booming drive. The ball was pretty quick. It was swinging on the off stump, and Brendan McCullum was seeing that his timber was shattered by Starc, and you could hear the roar at the Melbourne cricket ground, as I said, record attendance, and amidst the roar, Brendan McCullum was walking back to the pavilion in his last match of the World Cup, as he was clean bowled by Starc for naught, and the Australians were absolutely on fire there with Brendan McCullum's wicket. And I'm sure Michael Clarke, the Australian captain, had done all the hard work. They had done all their homework on Brendan McCullum and saw to it. He had kept all the fielders at the edges of the circle in the initial power play, and Brendan McCullum succumbed to it. That is the way he plays. He was gone for naught. So that made it 1 for 1. Martin Guptill was there in the middle. Kane Williamson came in, and then it was a very slow progress as the wicket was lost, and Martin Guptill and Kane Williamson had to bide their time, and the power play was something where Australia definitely ruled, as things and New Zealand were really struggling at that stage with Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood bowling in the right areas, Mitchell Johnson joining and also pitching it in the right areas, and it was pretty difficult for the New Zealanders with Martin Guptill and Williamson to crease. And when the score reached 33, Martin Guptill was a victim. Now this was a very good move by Michael Clarke, the Australian captain. What he did is that he decided in the 12th over, once the power play was over, he decided to give the over to Glenn Maxwell, the right-arm off spinner, and Glenn Maxwell delivered, in fact got a wicket of a delivery which really didn't deserve a wicket, because the ball was actually a straightish delivery on the off stump, and Martin Guptill, one does not know what he was trying to do. He was trying to back away and slowly probably glide it to third man, but that was a straighter delivery, and that was not a ball which could have been glided to third man. And there you saw the Martin Guptill stumps being rattled by Maxwell, as Martin Guptill, after making 15 departed of 34 balls with 1 4 and 1 6. Kane Williamson was watching at the other end as he was joined by Ross Taylor. After that, Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor started. I mean, there was not much of a moment, I would say. When the score reached 39, Mitchell Johnson got a ball. He would have never expected that. Kane Williamson probably trying to flick the delivery. What he did is he actually gave a very tame catch to Mitchell Johnson of his own bowling. Mitchell Johnson would have been surprised as Williamson lobbed the ball back to Johnson. He was gone, caught and bowled Johnson for 12, and the New Zealand had got themselves in a big hole there at 39 for 3 in the 13th over. Ross Taylor, so there were two batsmen in the middle, Ross Taylor and Grant Elliott. And then we saw that Michael Clarke, the Australian captain, was ringing the changes. Once again decided that he's not going to give Glenn Maxwell the overs, and he wants he probably felt that this pair was something which was an important pair, and why not have the Pacers have a go at them. And he once again brought Mitchell Johnson, he brought Mitchell Stark back. Josh Hazelwood was bowling pretty beautifully, pretty well I would say, and Josh Hazelwood has already bowled 2 maidens too. And suddenly New Zealand were really struggling. Grant Elliott was there, and Ross Taylor was there. Ross Taylor definitely confident with a few of his strokes. Grant Elliott also following him, but it was a real hard grind for them. And the hard grind, I thought Taylor and Elliott did a good job. They saw the early pace of these bowlers, and then slowly settled down, with Grant Elliott playing some beautiful strokes. Ross Taylor was pretty sedate by his own standards, and the partnership definitely did a good turn for New Zealand as they recovered from 39 for 3 to 150 in the 36th over, and that was the time it was looking like the New Zealanders had definitely recovered, and now was the time for some fireworks to come, some sort of momentum into the match. And that was when the batting power play was taken by New Zealand. But that batting power play definitely turned out to be a big negative for New Zealand, as first it was James Faulkner with the ball who started doing the trick. First he picked up the wicket of Ross Taylor, a slower delivery, which Faulkner, as I said, has taken a lot of victims in this World Cup with his back of the hand slower delivery, which is very well disguised, and that's what he did to Ross Taylor. Ross Taylor was fooled away by the delivery, and he was gone. Caught hand in bowl Faulkner after making 40 of 72 balls with 2 fours. And then Corey Anderson came in and disappointed, as Faulkner had a crushing Yorker onto Corey Anderson's pads in the same over, and that was it. Corey Anderson was dismissed for a blob, clean bowl by Faulkner. And then Luke Ronchi in the next over, Stark was the one who picked up the wicket of Luke Ronchi, as Ronchi was also dismissed for a duck. And this was the bowling of Mitchell Stark, and once again New Zealand, who had recovered through Grant Elliott and Ross Taylor partnership, once again found themselves in another deep hole there. And now it was only Grant Elliott who could take the Kiwis out of this hole. But the company that he had was only tail enders, with Daniel Vettori coming, but Johnson rattled the stumps of Daniel Vettori for 9, and then it was pretty difficult. The pressure was building on Elliott. Elliott was the one who had to take up the challenge of going for his strokes, and in doing so, Grant Elliott once again, this was once again James Faulkner picking up the wicket of Grant Elliott. Caught Brad had in bowl Faulkner, but not before Elliott made the highest score made his highest score in this particular World Cup match for New Zealand, as he departed for 83 of 82 balls, 7 fours and 1 6. It was always going to be difficult. Finally, Tim Southee was run out for 11. Matt Henry was out for naught of Johnson. Trent Boult not out naught. The New Zealand innings folded for 183 in 45 overs, and that was not something that one expected from New Zealand, especially considering that they were playing in the finals of World Cup 2015. Mitchell Stark, 8 overs, no maiden, 2 for 20, absolutely on the money. He's definitely, the once he took Brendan McCullum's wicket, that was it. Jones Hazlewood, a picture of consistency and disciplined bowling, 8 overs, 2 maidens, none for 30. Mitchell Johnson did his job to perfection, 9 overs, no maiden, 3 for 30. Glenn Maxwell picking up that big wicket of Guptill, 7 overs, no maiden, 1 for 37. James Faulkner, the man of the match, and he was the one who derailed this New Zealand innings in a big way. 9 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 36. Shane Watson, 4 overs, none for 23. As far as the Australian reply was concerned, Australia had already done a good job there of restricting the New Zealanders to 183, and then Australians walked into bat. David Warner and Finch, and in fact Trent Boult was the one who drew the first blood for the Kiwis by picking up an early wicket of Aaron Finch, as Aaron Finch was gone, as he gave a catch back to Trent Boult, who accepted it merrily, and Aaron Finch was on his way out for a blob. None of 5 balls, and Australia were 2 for 1. And then Tim Southee unfortunately couldn't hit his straps today. His bowling was left a lot to be desired, but I thought Trent Boult was bowling superbly. And then Daniel Vettori came into bowl, and David Warner, what David Warner did, even though Brendan McCullum started off in that same attacking manner that he has done so far in the World Cup, with his attacking captaincy, where he had slips and gully in place. But here David Warner, what he did, he went after the bowlers in the Brendan McCullum fashion, as he started creaming boundaries of especially of Saudi. He was very severe on Saudi, and then while David Warner was doing that along with Stephen Smith at the crease, David Warner, once he did that, it made Brendan McCullum change his plans. He had to remove the slips. He was forced to remove the slips, and David Warner, not before making 45, 46 balls at 7 fours, and the partnership had gone to 63. There were 61 runs raised for the second wicket, and that was the time Matt Henry struck by getting the wicket of David Warner for 45, 46 balls at 7 fours, and then the Australian captain walked amidst, I would say, huge roars from the MCG crowd. As I said, Michael Clarke was walking into the MCG arena in a one-day international for the last time in his international career, as he walked in amidst great roars from the MCG, and he was joining Stephen Smith, who was well settled at the crease. Michael Clarke, well, he decided that this is going to be, he knew this is the last game, and Michael Clarke decided that this is the time for him to enjoy himself. Enjoy himself he truly did, as he played some exquisite strokes, and Michael Clarke, as you know, is a very good driver of the ball, and we saw some good strokes flowing from the bat. It was pretty good to see, and the partnership started gathering momentum and made sure that Australia are definitely going to win the match in pretty quick time. That's what happened. Is Michael Clarke played a fluent innings of 74 of 72 balls with 10 fours and 1 6, garnering the strike most of the times when he was in the company of Stephen Smith, who had the luxury, I said, of not really going to play first, so in fact allowing Michael Clarke to stroke the ball. And as this went on, the score reached 175. They were almost within touching distance of victory, but that was the time Michael Clarke, one would have probably expected Michael Clarke to go ahead and actually hit the winning runs for Australia, but that was not to happen, as Matthew Henry rattled the timber of Michael Clarke, but not before Michael Clarke once again walking to a great standing ovation from the MCG crowd in his last match of his one-day international career, as he walked off after making 74 very good runs of 72 deliveries, 10 fours and 1 6, and never will we see the Australian captain Michael Clarke in a one-day international career walking at the MCG. Stephen Smith, after that, there was nothing to do. It was a mere formality. Shane Watson joined him, and Stephen Smith did the winning formality for Australia, as Australia lifted their 5th World Cup, as Stephen Smith hit a boundary to get the winning runs. Australia won by 7 wickets. Stephen Smith was not out on 56 of 71 balls with 3 fours. Watson not out too. Australia going on to victory in 33.1 overs, with Stephen Smith playing a good hand there. And 186 for 3. Australia winning by 7 wickets, lifting that 5th World Cup. Michael Clarke getting his, Australia winning the first World Cup under the Australian captain Michael Clarke. And what a way for Michael Clarke. The last day of his one-day international career, and he goes there with the World Cup for Australia in 2015. Proud memories for Michael Clarke, and Michael Clarke has given a lot of entertainment to not only the Australian public, the fans world over, and my congratulations to Michael Clarke and the Australian team for winning the World Cup 2015. And that was how the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015 finally ended in the hands of Australia. Looking at the bowling, Tim Southee, as I said, left a lot to be desired. He was not really bowling like a final, I would say. He got clattered by Warner initially. 8 overs no maiden, none for 65 for Tim Southee. Trent bowled absolutely on the money, 10 overs no maiden, 1 for 40. Vettori probably playing his last match too, I suppose, but no announcement made by Vettori. 5 overs for 25. Matthew Henry, 9.1 overs no maiden, 246. Anderson, none for 7 of 1. As I said, James Faulkner was the one who was the key there. Got the man of the match in the World Cup final. He will remember that for a long time. Player of the series, Mitchell Starc, without a shadow of a doubt, he was the man to get the World Cup. But I always have thought that Kumar Sangakkara, who made 4 centuries and had a great record to his name while he was leaving of Sri Lanka, probably should have been given the man of the world, the man of the series for the World Cup, I reckon. But well, opinions do differ. But my vote would have gone to Kumar Sangakkara of Sri Lanka for having become the first. I mean, he has already retired from his one-day international career as Michael Clarke, and I would have probably said that my man of the series would have been Kumar Sangakkara of Sri Lanka for becoming the first person in the annals of World Cup history to make 4 centuries on the trot. And not only that, this was his last World Cup, and also the last time Kumar Sangakkara was in his one-day international career. So I would have probably, I mean, if I would have been the adjudicator, I would have gone for Kumar Sangakkara as the man of the series in this man of the World Cup, I would say. But well, well, as I said, this is purely my opinion. But well, congratulations once again to Australia. Commiserations to New Zealand, but New Zealand definitely played an attacking batsmanship, I would say. And also this World Cup would have seen the last, as far as the one-day international careers were concerned, of Misbah-ul Haq of Pakistan, Shahid Afridi of Pakistan, Michael Clarke of Australia, Kumar Sangakkara of Sri Lanka, Mahela Jayawardene of Sri Lanka, and we all would like to thank all those players who actually graced the one-day international with great grace and have definitely gone with a lot of pride as they left the one-day international, as they played the last World Cup. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that also culminates the last cricket happening show on World Cup 2015. As you know, this is an eternal cricket show, so your host Ram would always be there with any cricket, which is any international cricket that takes place. So always keep an eye fixed on your cricket happenings, and hope you all had a great time watching and listening, basically listening to my cricket happening show day in and day out. I hope I entertained you all, dear fans and subscribers. This is your host Ram signing off for the last time as far as the World Cup 2015 is concerned. Once again, congratulations to Australia for their 5th World Cup, and my commiserations to New Zealand. But New Zealand, let me tell you, you really rocked the World Cup with your attacking style of play, and Brendan McCullum was the man who led it absolutely from the front. So I'm sure, as I said, the World Cup could have been better scripted like this, where the host Australia and co-host New Zealand clashed into the final of the World Cup 2015. And dear friends and subscribers, if you can go back to my previews of the cricket happenings in this World Cup, go and see. I definitely said it is going to be a World Cup final between host Australia and co-host New Zealand, and my predictions have come true, and Australia have lifted the cup. So I am pretty happy about that preview that I did, and how right I was. I hope I would have gone into some sort of betting and I would have got $1 million. Well, this is all wishful thinking, dear fans and subscribers, but well, it was thorough entertainment. I enjoyed it as much as you all did, as far as the World Cup 2015 is concerned. And now, as you know, the World Cup 2019 will be played in England. And well, but your cricket happening show, your host Ram is always there to entertain you all. It doesn't matter whether it is the World Cup. You know, it's a daily cricket show. So so now from tomorrow you will see me talking about international cricket, or probably talking about this World Cup in general. Well, dear fans, friends and subscribers, it has been a pleasure bringing you the cricket happening show as far as all the World Cup matches were concerned, culminating in the final today. And well, I don't have words to thank you all for your tremendous support, cooperation and enthusiasm for this cricket show. Your host Ram would like to sign off in a grand manner here on the last day of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015. That's it from me, your host Ram, for today. See you all tomorrow. Thank you.